Hi there, Andy Ron here with Montana Land Source with this week's video summary of the Montana Land Report for May 26, 2021. Another busy week in the Montana land market. 4 times as many properties going under contract or selling than new properties entering the market. So a continuation of what we've seen virtually all year, which is extremely high demand and dwindling supply for land in the Montana land market. Over the past 7 days, a total of 28 property updates in the market. 2 properties back on the market, 5 new listings, 9 pending sales, 1 price change, and 11 sales. An interesting observation about this market we're in, contrasting it to the last hot market we had, which was the lead up to 2028. Back then, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, particularly in western and southwestern Montana, and particularly for recreational properties, the market was extremely hot. A lot of demand and interest in Montana land and overwhelming sales and price increases at that time. I think the motivation at that time could be fairly characterized as enthusiasm. People were just really excited about moving to Montana, excited about the amenities on these properties and the investment potential that land in Montana represented at that time. I think the motivation in 2020, 2021 is very different, and I think one way to characterize that motivation is anxiety. It all started with people fleeing the places they were from to come to Montana. That started obviously with COVID, literally fleeing that virus. The political and social situation in other states and cities was driving people to Montana, and we've just seen a continuation of this market that started then. But talking a lot to buyers and brokers, the motivation seems to be fleeing from somewhere else, coming to Montana, fleeing for someone else. So I think that's very interesting to think about that distinction in the market. One thought about the result or the consequence of that, this market is going to stabilize at some point. It is going to equalize like all markets do. And what that buyer set is going to represent as landholders in Montana moving forward. One speculation is that they might not be as grounded here coming from that motivation. A phenomenon that's happened forever in Montana. There's always been a certain amount of people that wash out, so to speak. Locals like to joke about hard winters and whatnot, flushing out a certain percentage of people. I think even in times of hot markets in the past, there's been a fair amount of that, and there's always just been enough more people coming in behind them. This was actually documented somewhat. Montana State University did a study about Bozeman, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, documenting that there was actually a high amount of people not staying, but nonetheless there was still a lot of growth because there was enough people coming behind them. So again, one speculation is that when this market calms down a little bit and maybe back to some normalcy, whether this buyer set, how grounded they'll be in Montana, and perhaps there might be a lot of properties coming back on the market at that time, just with the speculation that some of these owners might not have as deep or as deep as a motivation for staying in Montana. So of course we'll wait and see, but I think that's just a very interesting distinction between these two markets that we've experienced, the two hot market cycles. I'd be very interested in your perspectives, brokers, buyers, investors, appraisers. Please reach out, please join the conversation, and I will report here anything that follows up that we uncover. In news, next month in June, there's a few events coming up. You can check our calendar at mtlandsource.com. There's some good continuing ed opportunities coming up. The Ag Lenders Range School. There's some Northern Wyoming ranch tours that is being put on by the Land Institute, the Wyoming chapter of the Land Institute. There's a continuing ed course on buying and selling recreational and luxury properties in Montana. That seems pretty timely. That outfit, the seminar group, does good quality continuing education, in my opinion. And also a week from tomorrow, we'll have our Montana Farm and Ranch Brokers meeting. Nick DeCastro is going to present. He's created an Airbnb for hunting and ranching on rural lands. Very interesting tech entrepreneur who is providing an interesting opportunity for landowners and recreationalists, creating an Airbnb situation for recreation. So thank you, everybody. This is the report for this week. Thank you. Please like, please share, please send us your comments and your feedback, and we will see you next week.